Can anxiety and stress cause cancer to return? Cancer is a physical sign of underlying emotional stress on the body and the body's cells. How does emotional stress and cancer recurrence align to cause the body harm? And how can stress cause breast cancer and more? For the majority of people, coping with stress and cancer recurrence or highly demanding other health problems can be dealt with in relative ease. Those in this bigger group feel the devastating impacts of stress and cancer recurrence from tension, difficult occasions, injury, and disputes, including grief and loss. Difficult events are viewed as part of life's obstacles. Let's face it, the world seems to be filled with life's downs and ups, and many are not prepared for how to manage stress. What I mean is, those vulnerable to stress and cancer recurrence are extremely susceptible to life's tensions and injury, and feel unable to cope when life gives us a bend in the road we can't handle too well. These individuals live in worry of dispute, trauma, tension and loss, and are deeply frightened of negative occasions taking place to them. Their minds are filled with separation and conflict and far less oneness and wholeness. And when faced with a highly stressful or distressing event they have not expected, which undoubtedly takes place throughout their life, respond adversely and are not able to cope. Their experience from not being able to combat stress is an inescapable shock, and they are deeply impacted by the experience. They have difficulty in revealing their inner grief, their inner discomfort, their inner anger or animosity, and really feel there is no chance out of the conflict and discomfort they are feeling within. And since their ego mind, which represents the human body, cannot fathom what has actually happened, more conflict sets in the mind. The ego-based mind begins making projections in line with the inner grief and is presented as a portrait of the body in conflict. This conflict and continued separation stays in a state of disbelief or denial. These inner uncomfortable feelings are continuously perpetuated. The Course in Miracles asks us through one of its many healing principles, do you want the problem or do you want the answer? By putting the problem in control, this in turn begins shooting up tension in hormonal agent levels, decreasing melatonin and adrenaline levels, causing a sluggish breakdown of the psychological reflex center in the brain. Before we realize it, disease like cancer and others form in the body. Can stress cause breast cancer? When the body starts cancer, stress, cancer and development recovery are what we must consider. When faced with a major trauma, stress and cancer recurrence begin when the cancer character feels trapped and unable to escape from the memory of the traumatic experience and the agonizing feelings of the experience. Stress hormone cortisol levels stay and skyrocket at high levels, directly reducing the immune system, whose job it is to ruin cancer cells that exist in every human being. Melatonin is accountable for inhibiting cancer cell growth. Adrenaline is accountable for transferring sugar far from cells. And when there is excessive sugar in cells of the body ends up being acidic. This suggests typical body cells cannot breathe effectively since of low oxygen. Cancer cells thrive in a low oxygen state, as demonstrated by a Nobel Prize winner. Put simply, too much internal tension causes an exhaustion of adrenaline, results in excessive sugar in the body, resulting in the perfect environment for cancer cells to grow in the body. For the cancer personality, the news of being identified with cancer and the worry and unpredictability of death represents another inescapable shock, developing another spike in tension hormone cortisol levels, and a further drop in melatonin and adrenaline levels. Cancer cells also thrive on sugar to continue splitting and separating to keep them alive. Previously I discussed how to overcome stress and frustration and manage anxiety by opening your mind to the light of your reality. There is likewise a further breakdown of the psychological reflex center in the brain that causes cells in the matching organ to slowly break down and end up being malignant. Discovered vulnerability is a crucial element of stress and cancer recurrence and the cancer character when dealing with a perceived inescapable shock, and is a strong developmental element of cancer. The Course in Miracles states, decide for the answer and you will have it, for you will see it as it is, and it is yours already. Researchers took 3 groups of rats, one getting moderate escapable shock, another group receiving mild inescapable shock, and the third no shock at all. She then implanted each rat with cancer cells that would generally lead to 50% of the rats establishing a tumor. Her outcomes were impressive. Within a month, 50% of the rats not stunned at all had actually turned down the tumor. This was the normal ratio. 70% had actually turned down the tumor when it comes to the rats that mastered shock by pressing a bar to turn it off. Just 27% of the powerless rats, the rats that had actually experienced inescapable shock, turned down the tumor. This study demonstrates those who feel there is no way from their shock, loss and grief, are far less likely to be able to decline tumors forming within their body, due to high levels of tension weakening the immune system. Cancer happens at the cellular level, and there are a variety of aspects that create stress on the body's cells, causing them to become 1. Depleted of adrenaline, 2. High in sugar and 3. Low in oxygen, where they are more prone to mutate and become malignant. The greater the sugar material of the cell brought on by division, separation and a deficiency of adrenaline, and the lower the oxygen material, the higher the likelihood of regular cells altering and becoming cancerous, or stress and cancer recurrence. Course in Miracles further teaches, in the real world there is no sickness, for there is no division and no separation. When we're wondering can stress cause cancer to return, or can stress cause breast cancer and other forms of cancer, in the large majority of those with cancer, there exists both a mix of mindful as well as physiological tensions. These tensions and stresses have actually contributed to the body's cells ending up being depleted of adrenaline, high in sugar and low in oxygen, triggering them to alter and become malignant. Please keep in mind there are plenty of other discussions on how to be happy again following a stressful setback and how to stay happy, that lead people to successful lives, and it's always advisable you do some research for what best suits your situation. To a successful and healthy life. http://jamesnussbaumer.com/my-blog/Hi, I'm James Nussbaumer. I'd like to introduce myself through my thought-provoking self-improvement and inspirational books, articles, and other content which are reflections of A Course in Miracles. I'm also offering you a free version of my Everyday Miracles newsletter, where you'll get updates on my weekly podcasts, videos, live streams, other events and so much more, helping everyday people live life on their own terms. This is for folks who are interested in letting go of the past and attaining real abundance, purpose, and wellness in their lives. http://jamesnussbaumer.com/self-help-library/ Thank you for watching. Please subscribe my channel and click the bell button. Like and share.